lot of people don't know that whether you're W-2, 1099, or self-employed, that you can take 30% of your income and place it into a private foundation. And then essentially it can grow just like a retirement account would. All the gains that are made inside of it grow tax-free. You can invest in just about anything you want. But unlike a retirement account, you're able to draw a salary from it anytime that you want to. So it becomes this awesome financial freedom vehicle. It can be any reasonable wage, which is totally undefined. So it can basically be almost any amount that you need. In your investments that are inside of there, just keep kicking off money. You never pay tax on that money. You didn't pay tax on all the money that flowed in at the beginning of it.
I find the topic of real estate to be honestly over a lot of people's heads, right? Like when I hopped onto the internet, I started talking to the general public about real estate. I had somebody comment on a post, something along the lines of, wait, you can rent out a house and make money from it? And that one comment hit me over the head like a ton of bricks. Okay, obviously the people listening to this podcast right now, these are not those people, right? These are people who understand real estate. However, tax strategies in real estate is another level of complexity of this industry. Can you tell us what your day-to-day looks like for your average customer in a simplified way, mostly for me?
Sure. Yeah. So over the last, I'd say 12 years, we've helped about 2,000 clients in all 50 states with their asset protection, which is how you protect yourself from lawsuits, your estate planning, protect your family from things going into probate court, protect yourself from the government, which is taxes. And then, protect yourself from just being a dum-dum and not having a portfolio that's optimized to help you make more money easier, right? And then the biggest single thing you can do, and there's a reason why rich people are actually so interested in tax, is because tax is the only guaranteed investment you can make that should pay you somewhere between a 50 to 100% annual return. It's the only investment that exists that's like that. And so when you invest in good tax strategy, that's why all rich people are like, hey, I always save money on taxes here, I save money on taxes there. It's because it's such a baller investment to save money from the government. And in that vein, there's a lot of things people should do. Typically, our target client makes over $200K a year in household income. And we say, like, if you're making over $200,000 a year in household income, we should save you enough money on tax that it should pay for everything we do and should return somewhere for you like a 50 to 100% return. And so that's why we look at as like a company that's like, we're not really a law firm or a tax firm. We are as like a partner that says, we'll actually build you more money. We'll create ROI for you by helping you strategize things. In the meantime, we're going to take care of a bunch of stuff in your life, like making sure you're protected from lawsuits, make sure your family's protected. But have you ever heard of a private foundation, Aviva?
Sure.
A lot of people don't know that whether you're W-2, 1099, or self-employed, that you can take 30% of your income and place it into a private foundation. And then essentially it can grow just like a retirement account would. All the gains that are made inside of it grow tax-free. You can invest in just about anything you want. But unlike a retirement account, you're able to draw a salary from it anytime that you want to. So it becomes this awesome financial freedom vehicle because it grows tax-free until you say, cool, I'm ready to go hang out with Scott and Ray and go ice climbing and start living this kind of life. And I'll say, dude, come on. We got an extra bedroom right here in the Airbnb. And I want to see you out here on the ice with me. And it's like, great. Well, all I'm just going to do is just have some money comes in from my investments. And it's just going to pay me a wage outside of my private foundation as a director. And it can be any reasonable wage, which is totally undefined. So it can basically be almost any amount that you need. In your investments that are inside of there, just keep kicking off money. You never pay tax on that money. You didn't pay tax on all the money that flowed in at the beginning of it.
Having my own success, dealing with a lot of successful people, that's a huge benefit of working in commercial real estate. I'm asking all the time, I see these tax strategies. I know the uber wealthy have family offices and people whose entire 9 to 5 is devoted to saving them money. But what about the person, like you're saying, who makes $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, and they want to protect their losses? It almost feels like there's nowhere to go. Suddenly, I meet Scott Smith, and it sounds like you have a company that was literally the solution for those individuals.
That's literally what it's built for, right? So it's like everybody that's above 50 million net worth, they can afford to have a bunch of full-time people that work for them, right? And then there's all the people that are kind of just figuring it out on their own. And they're typically in that like bottom-ish range. And then there's like a big gap of everybody that's in between where they can't really find the right professionals, the people, and they can't really afford, all of the stuff that the uber wealthy, people can afford. And I think that's the gap that we cover. It's almost like a fractional family office where all the teams that I need to build for myself, right? Remember, this is all about me. This is about me living a great life, right? And so I had to build the teams, the systems, the processes, the strategies, the meeting structure, the reporting, to essentially do this thing called like build a wealth building company that I could be a CEO of, that I had all this team that would run just like my law firm runs. And we have teams of like attorneys, CPAs, MBAs, CFOs, CFAs, paralegals, et cetera, that all work inside of the firm. And that's actually why wealth is so hard. It's because a lot of people think wealth is a side hustle and it's actually a second business. It's just like you're an entrepreneur, and that's why you're not very good at it. It's because because it's starting a new business, and you're also doing your job and doing a business, another business probably, and doing a family. And so how good would anybody in the world ever do if you're doing all of that and you're like, would you also like to start a whole new startup? Right. You need to like build a tax division and a legal division, an investment pipeline. You need reporting, you need meeting structures, you need all of this stuff, and be like, oh my God, there's no way that can be successful. And that's actually where most people are at. And that's why it feels so frustrating, confusing. It feels like it's like a never ending like well of stuff to do. And that's why my company exists now. As I always say, great, 6 weeks to work with us. We'll actually build everything for you. We'll do all the strategies. And then over the course of the year, we essentially train you into it to essentially train you into our team as you're the CEO of a wealth building company that we build for you. Wow. And we help you manage.
And then just out of curiosity, you get paid based on a percentage of what you save, or are you on a retainer, or how does that work?
No, we just do it as like a flat fee.
Okay.
Right? So we say, cool, we'll take a flat fee, and there's like a few $1,000s a year that typically goes into like maintaining everything and having like the meeting structure with the professional team. But I do as a flat fee up front, and then some people will say, cool, I saved $20,000 in taxes this year. Some people will save $250,000 in taxes. And we say, great. The only way for us to play this game and make it fair is if it's a flat fee structure and we take you from A to Z. Otherwise, there's a whole game that gets played about billable hours, and there's a whole game about all this other stuff of, can you really trust, the advice that's like really being given? And we're more interested in making our lives really easy.
Sure.
We make enough money to have everybody get paid and do the things they need to do. And it makes our life really easy if we just do a flat fee structure with it, and then we just guarantee the results. So if we don't deliver on exactly what it is, we'll just give you your money back. We're really selective on who we take in on the front end because of that kind of guarantee. The biggest problem we actually run into is people say, it's actually way too good to be true. This is really impossible. How come I've never heard about this stuff before? Yada, 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 yada. And that's why we have on the front page of the website just oceans of testimonials of people talking about, this is a real experience and this is how much money I saved. And if you go through and meet with our team, they'll show even more details about like specific amounts of dollars so that people have saved working with us and everything. So I don't know. That's that.
Can you talk to me about IRAs, the misconceptions, and maybe, how the public could gain from information on IRAs? Because just like what I was saying, it's very hard to figure out what makes the most sense, and even if those make the most sense.
So I think the really important piece to remember about IRA accounts is they have to remember, like, what is the point? And the point, if we really sit down and think about it, I believe you run into is the fact that, like, I'm going to die, and the only thing that matters actually is my life experience. What happened before then, right? Nothing we're going to do is actually going to exist beyond us very much. Like, how often do you think about people that lived, that died more than 5 years ago? You probably don't, right? Why would you assume that you're any different?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then we're actually just free to be able to say, well, what is the life experience I want? Now that is going to be a much more difficult question for you, right? And this is what I call typically is like step 2. Step 1 is how do you get financially free? Step 2 is actually figuring out all of this other stuff. The good news is how to do all of that is actually really well figured out, right? So you're not alone how to do that. There's nothing to be afraid of on like how to do that. So my personal view on it is that retirement is a fool's errand. You don't even know if you're going to make it to retirement. And that the real point is to really say is how quickly can I get into the life experience that's most aligned and most true with me as quick as possible? How do I do that? And that's the real question. And the question to that is almost never let me slave away for another 20 years until I retire, right? So we should design our investing and our money in such that to be able to go towards that question if you believe in that philosophy.
Okay, so kick the IRAs or use the IRAs differently?
Nah, just kick them. I would just kick them.
Okay.
I would just kick them because you don't need them. Yeah, I mean, between like the private foundation is like something where you can take 30% of your income and pull it into that. You should be able to have like enough deductions to be able to offset like a bunch of stuff from, your home office deduction, auto deductions, Augusta rule, like all of those like pieces that come with it. And then what you really want to be doing is looking for the right kinds of investments to be able to get your taxes down to zero. So if you can qualify as a real estate professional, most of the time that's going to be looking at investments that give you 200 bonus percent depreciation plus some type of annualized return, about 30% a year. Oil and gas will give you about 90-ish% depreciation of whatever you invest in it and return to you somewhere between like 60 to 25. You can do algorithmic trading on top of this for a section of your portfolio, which will pay you out somewhere between 3 to 5% a month. Right. And so there's just enough money and enough tax advantages to be made where money can just flow to you easily that you don't need to play this scaredy cat game that everybody plays, which is I'm too scared to learn. So what I'm going to do is just do this thing that they made really easy for me. Right. And then I can say, I did the good thing about avoiding taxes. And I was like, yeah, but you missed the whole point. So that's why Royal Legal Solutions, like on our website in the top right-hand corner, I have something called the Vault where I give access to everybody. And it's like I don't know if I had to price it, it's like a $5,000 training program. I got like 11 ebooks in there, hundreds of hours of videos, and I train everybody how to do all of this stuff absolutely for free. And then the only way my company makes money is if you say, you want us to build everything for you and you want the whole team and everything. But to learn how to do all of it, that's free to everybody at royallegalsolutions.com in the Vault in the top right-hand corner of the page.
That's cool.
So that's my answer to your IRA question. Honestly, I think a lot of the stuff is that we just don't know what we don't know. And the question is who do we learn from? And most of the people we learn from don't really know either. Right. So it's kind of like all of us are just stumbling around in the dark. I mean, the only way I learned is because I spent, essentially 10 years of like sneaking into high net worth groups like GoBundance and Tiger 21 and little white lies about what my net worth was at the time to go sit in like those conference rooms and the hot tubs and talk to people and read all the books, but also, talking to the professionals and also helping clients at the same time so I could see behind the scenes of how things work. And who else has the opportunity to do that, right? And so there's a way in which I feel like it's my responsibility now to be able to share. And that's what my intention is to just be able to have like that kind of resource. So there's no more guesswork about like how do you become financially free. It's already really well understood, actually. Like there's nothing else to know or to learn, really.
I genuinely wouldn't say this if I didn't feel this way. I think this will bring a lot of value to our listeners, which is dope because they deserve it. What in real estate is currently making you happy right now?
These days, all my investments are all LP stuff with people that are much better investors than I am, as what they do, right? I just surf on the wake of really great people that they want to make a bunch of money if this whole thing, by making this whole thing work. And then I join in with a bunch of other men and women as a small fish to deploy capital behind these great people that are amazing investors and know how to run this active business called self-storage units or apartments or like whatever it is. Because it's not just an asset, it's a business with it. So you're really betting the jockey in a number of ways. It's not like you're buying gold and holding on to it. All these are actual businesses.
So for the listeners, just to refresh your memory, an LP is a limited partner. An LP gives a check to a GP, a general partner, and then they get a check back every quarter, biannually, annually. Scott, how do you find your GPs?
Well, I get them all through like those networking groups. So the really good GPs are never like public. Not mostly. They're mostly never public, right? Because when you have to deal, if you're a GP, right, who's the worst person in your life that you have to deal with? It's just some random person, like, and where do they come into your life? They just came in like off the street and was like, I have money And then you're like, okay, well, I really want your money, you know, which you're really, so the really good GPs are actually people that only work with selective investors because they say that actually makes my life easier. So I can focus more on the project and I don't have to deal with a bunch of people that actually don't know how to act right. And this type of GP LP relationship, right? Because that's really the big concern. So inside of like the investing like groups that I belong to, they're all like paid groups, spend maybe like $50K a year just on being able to have access. Then this is where I go to meet other people. And of those other people that are worth way more money than I am, then I hang out with them. And then cool, I try to like surf in their wake of where are they deploying money and how are they vetting different GPs. And it's wherever they're pushing money after I like look at it with them. So I'm this small fish investing with a bunch of other people that have way more experience investing than I do, will know way more about how to vet the GP than I do. And I'm just there trying to learn and then deploying capital along with them. And that's what we offer inside of Legal Solutions. I actually open up to any of our clients that are like our premier clients to say, here's all of the operators and the deals that I invest in. You don't have to pay me anything for this knowledge, but here's all the people that I know, that I trust. And then with that information, you can do whatever you want.
It's such a smart strategy to just follow what more successful people are doing and where they're putting their money. I don't want to say 10 out of 10, but 9 times out of 10, genius. So
it will always be better than what I can do. The thing is, if your expectation is going to work out 100% of the time, you're crazy. But all you're trying to do is say, like, how can I do better than I could do on my own? Right? That's really that's the real measure, not that's absolute perfection. Why can't we just make it where the whole thing is easy? Instead of trying to make it so hard.
Well, it starts from here, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, can't get there or don't know how to.
Yeah, and, it's definitely like what's in the head and the mind. And what I find is that if you can assuage or soften the survival instinct that we have about like, am I going to have enough? Or me and my family going to be taken care of? Is something terrible going to happen to us? I'm going to be on the street. If you can get your finances and that part of your life bulletproofed where we're like, oh, we're actually all going to be okay. It will actually take you time to actually, even after it's all fine and it's all set up, you will take you time to even adjust to the fact that actually I'm safe and things are okay. Because most of us are subtly afraid of not being okay all the time. And then once you're there, then the next piece can like kick off and you're like, oh, cool. I can like that part of my mind settles down. I can become living more in the moment. All those things that everybody talks about. They're like, you should just do this. And I was like, well, all right, how am I going to do that? Yeah, I mean, it's silly, right? And that's why you got to attack this stuff at the root. And the best way that I've found to be able to attack it for people that I've helped in life is first getting the finances. And then, okay, now you've created enough mental, energetic space that you can start to work on like the next layer of stuff. But until then, like it's freaking damn near impossible.
Yeah, it's so interesting. This has been a really awesome convo, really, really valuable podcast. Scott, thank you so much for being on the show. And for those of you listening, we'll see y'all next week.